Let's talk about Donald Trump, the self-proclaimed tariff man, a figure who has always thrived on bold promises and headline-grabbing moves. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying that Trump has a knack for keeping the world on its toes. For years, his message was simple and relentless. America first. He hammered it home at every rally, every press conference, and every tweet, making it clear that his top priority was putting American workers and businesses ahead of everyone else. That meant big taxes on foreign goods, tariffs designed to protect American jobs, revive struggling industries, and send a message to trading partners that the US wouldn't be pushed around anymore. Tariffs became his go-to solution for everything from trade deficits to bad weather. If there was a problem, Trump's answer was often the same: slap a tariff on it and watch America win. But in early 2025, something strange happened. Something that caught even his closest advisors off guard. After months of threatening a global trade war, President Trump suddenly hit the brakes. The world watched in disbelief as he shifted gears almost overnight. One minute, he was promising to tax everything that moved, vowing to bring foreign competitors to their knees. The next, he was suspending those very tariffs, leaving both supporters and critics stunned and scrambling for answers. This wasn't a minor tweak. It was a complete U-turn, a dramatic reversal that sent shockwaves through the political and economic landscape. The whiplash was felt from Wall Street to Walmart, as investors, business owners, and everyday Americans tried to make sense of the sudden change. Was Trump the tariff man, sticking to his guns, or the dealmaker, ready to pivot for a better bargain? The world was left wondering which Trump would show up next. The sudden shift left everyone guessing. Analysts, journalists, and even foreign leaders were caught off guard, scrambling to interpret what this meant for the future of global trade. The answer involves plunging stock markets, nervous allies, and a world economy teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Behind the scenes, emergency meetings were called, government officials scrambled to respond, and financial experts watched the numbers with growing anxiety, all trying to avoid a full-blown economic disaster. Buckle up, we're diving into the great tariff turmoil of 2025, a story of unpredictability, high stakes, and the ever-changing face of American leadership. Before we go further, what's a tariff? It's just a tax on imported goods. Imagine it as a cover charge for foreign products entering Club America. If France wants to sell wine here, they pay a tax. Costs that get passed down until you, the consumer, pay more. The idea is to make foreign goods pricier, nudging you to buy American. But there's a catch: other countries retaliate. We tax their wine, they tax our bourbon or soybeans. This tit for tat is called a trade war. Suddenly everyone's paying more, and global trade slows. Tariffs are meant to protect jobs, but they often end up costing consumers. It's a risky, messy business. The real cost? It usually lands right in your shopping cart. That's the tariff trap. To make sense of the chaos that erupted in 2025, we need to hit rewind and revisit the years that set the stage. Let's take a quick flashback to the roots of the storm. Donald Trump's America First platform wasn't just a slogan. It was a rallying cry. He argued that for decades, other countries had been taking advantage of the United States, draining its wealth, stealing its jobs, and leaving American workers behind. His solution? Tariffs. Lots of them. He saw tariffs as a weapon to fight back, to punish countries he believed were playing unfairly, and to protect American industries from foreign competition. Trump even dubbed himself Tariff Man, promising to bring back lost jobs, revive American manufacturing, and force trading partners to the negotiating table for better deals. During his first term, tariffs became his go-to answer for almost every trade dispute, whether it was with China, Mexico, or even close allies like Canada and the European Union. The result? Escalating trade wars, especially with China, but also with countries that had long been US allies. Tensions rose, negotiations stalled, and the world watched as global trade rules were rewritten on the fly. US allies were left scratching their heads when their steel and aluminum suddenly became national security threats. Long-standing partnerships were shaken, and trust was eroded. The global trade system, built over decades to lower barriers and encourage cooperation, was suddenly thrown into reverse. Tariffs went up, barriers rose, and uncertainty spread across markets. By 2025, Trump was back in the White House, more determined than ever. He saw his return as a mandate to double down on his trade war strategy. He promised even bigger tariffs, vowing to build what he called an economic fortress around America, protecting U.S. businesses at all costs, no matter the consequences. But in a world where economies are deeply connected, no nation can truly stand alone. Global supply chains, investments, and jobs are all intertwined. The walls you build to keep others out can just as easily trap you inside, cutting off opportunities and isolating your own economy. And as 2025 unfolded, that's exactly what happened. The very policies meant to protect America ended up backfiring, leaving businesses and consumers to deal with the fallout. The first crack in Trump's tariff wall came with Mexico and Canada. In early 2025, sweeping new tariffs threatened to blow up North American trade. At the last minute, Trump suspended the tariffs for 30 days. If Mexico and Canada helped fight the fentanyl crisis, Mexico deployed its National Guard, Canada boosted border security. In return, the U.S. promised to help stop gun smuggling. Trump turned an economic retreat into a law and order win. Tariffs became a bargaining chip, not just an economic tool. Even Tariff Man knew a trade war with neighbors was too risky. Just as North America caught its breath from months of economic uncertainty, the real storm finally hit, one that would send shockwaves across the globe and leave financial experts scrambling for answers. The Trump administration, determined to reshape global trade, pushed ahead with sweeping tariffs on imports from nearly every major trading partner. The move was meant to force other countries to the negotiating table, but instead, it triggered a wave of retaliatory tariffs. Suddenly, the world's largest economies were locked in a high-stakes standoff. Markets panicked as uncertainty spread like wildfire. In April, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged over 1,600 points in a single day, its steepest drop in years. Investors watched in disbelief as billions of dollars in value evaporated within hours. Rumors swirled that China and Japan, two of America's biggest creditors, were quietly dumping U.S. Treasury bonds. The mere suggestion sent interest rates soaring, making it more expensive for businesses and families to borrow money. Economists and business leaders sounded the alarm, warning that the U.S. was on the brink of massive inflation and a deep, painful recession. Headlines blared with predictions of job losses, rising prices, and a global slowdown. The threat, it turned out, wasn't coming from foreign rivals. It was self-inflicted, born from policy decisions made in Washington, D.C. As the economic chaos deepened and pressure mounted from all sides, President Trump blinked. Advisors urged him to reconsider, warning that the damage could become irreversible. On April 10th, in a hastily arranged press conference, Trump announced a 90-day pause on all new global tariffs, hoping to calm the markets and buy time for negotiations. The markets rebounded almost instantly, with traders cheering and investors breathing a sigh of relief. But the damage to global trust and confidence was already done. Trump insisted that his tough strategy would ultimately make America stronger and more independent, vowing to keep fighting for American workers. But the episode exposed just how fragile the global economy, and the politics that shape it, can be. Even the strongest economies can unravel when trust is lost. The global economy isn't a machine you can just kick into gear or fix with a single policy. It's a delicate, interconnected system, and every action has consequences. Pull one thread, and the whole thing can unravel, reminding the world just how quickly stability can turn to chaos. While Trump paused tariffs for most countries, China got no mercy. The trade war with China escalated. Tariffs on Chinese goods soared to 145%. Even cheap e-commerce sites like Shein and Temu faced new 120% tariffs. Prices for everyday items from China skyrocketed. China retaliated, raising tariffs on U.S. goods to 84%. The result? A deep freeze in U.S.-China relations. The U.S. tried to de-escalate elsewhere, but doubled down on China. The message? Decouple at any cost. American consumers paid the price. Beijing vowed to weather the storm. The world's two largest economies were now locked in a high-stakes standoff. The global situation grew more unstable by the day. The 90-day tariff pause brought global relief. The EU and others suspended their own planned countermeasures. But skepticism lingered. America's unpredictability had eroded trust. Deutsche Bank warned that countries would now seek to build supply chains less dependent on the US. Still, the pause sparked a flurry of side deals. Over 15 countries rushed to negotiate exemptions from future tariffs. Nearly 20 nations, including key partners, entered talks with the US. Trade became a game of leverage, not mutual benefit. Countries offered concessions on security or immigration for economic access. Alliances were tested, and stability was gone. The pause wasn't peace, just a timeout in a bigger, messier game. The world was adapting to Trump's transactional rules. Back home, Americans were feeling the pain. Trump's approval dropped to 38% by August 2025. 61% disapproved of his tariff policies. Confidence in his deal-making was shaky. Less than half trusted him on trade. Democrats called for investigations after Trump's market-moving social media posts. For everyday Americans, tariffs meant higher prices on everything from groceries to cars. Businesses hesitated to hire or invest. The tariff saga became a cloud over millions of families. The fight to protect American jobs was starting to hurt the very people it aimed to help. So, what did we learn from the great tariff twist of 2025? America needs imports. Our economy is a team sport, not a solo act. Tariffs meant to protect jobs often end up raising prices for everyone. The threat alone sent markets into a nosedive. When you make imports expensive, you're not punishing other countries. You're punishing yourself. The deals with Mexico and Canada showed leverage can work, but blanket tariffs are a disaster. They create chaos, alienate allies, and hurt consumers. The US economy isn't a fortress, it's a global engine. Tough-sounding policies can have painful consequences. In a trade war, you can't win by bombing your own runway.